I'll invite you. So now we will continue with our next session, which is Tech Park Roundtable. And I would kindly ask you to have your seats. And we will then present our guests and panelists to this session. So once again, welcome to our Digital Summit Pristina 2022. The second day is about the digital economy, and we are very happy having today with us some selected showcases on business models about tech parks developments. In our panel, we have first Ms. Tanya Kozhub from Primorski Technology Park, Slovenia. Thanks, Tanya. We have our partner from Sofia Tech Park, Mark Marian. Thanks a lot, Mark. We have our partner from Milan Polyhub, Vera Schuder. Welcome, Vera. Our long traditional partner from University of Kocaeli Tech Park, Professor Melika. And we continue with Area Science Park from Italy, from Venice, Mr. Stefan Taylor. Mr. Stefan, thanks a lot. And we have our partner from ITP partner, Mr. Mohamed JP. To start with, we will kindly ask Ms. Vera from Polyhub Milan to bring to us the trends, the developments, the business model, the challenges, achievements, and the way that we all together could create new synergies and cooperation in terms of tech parks developments. Vera, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mehdi, and good morning to everyone. Thank you for having me today. I'm very happy to be here and to share with you our experience. I'm Vera Scuderi, and I work as Corporate Program Manager in Polyhub, where basically I'm in charge of business development and management of open innovation projects. I work at Polyhub, just let me check, okay, great, which is the innovation park and startup accelerator of Politecnico di Milano. And we like to define us as the place to go for innovators in deep tech. You can find this also in our mission, because we work with the aim to support the creation of deep tech startups that can actually change the world and leave a positive footprint for the economy and society, and help us and the companies in the ecosystem develop sustainable business models that can leverage on science and technology. And of course, we also leverage on our Politecnico ecosystem. We are guided by a what I would define a very ambitious vision, because we work with the aim to contribute to the progress of the world and what we imagine will be the world in, let's say, 100 or more, maybe more years, and we want to leave a positive footprint in a world that we think will be able to allow people to travel through space and through time and to live more than 100 years, to regenerate, hopefully, the planet, and to in a place where we will be able, or people after us will be able to use more than, let's say, almost 100% of the brain. So we want to contribute to create this world, and this is what guides us every day. How we try to reach this mission and this vision with our strategic solution, which is made from one side on the collaboration with startups, so we help deep tech startups mostly accelerate their growth, developing POCs and having funds from the investors. And from the other side, we work with the corporates in order to help them work in the open innovation ecosystem. So what we do is to try to match, to create a merge between the innovation needs of the corporates from one side and of the innovation solution of the startups. One of the key pillars of our activities is related to the focus on deep tech, which is actually one of our strengths. And what is deep tech for us is related to all the what we define as hard technologies that can have an application in one of the sectors that you can see in the slide, from life sciences to industry to green economy, and also in new ways of working and living. These are technologies that are also connected to digital, so this means that we also work with digital innovation projects, but that always have a sort of hardware application. I wanted also to share you some key figures about PolyHub. Since we established the organization, at PolyHub, we evaluated more than 12,000 ideas, and only last year we received more than 1,000 applications from aspiring entrepreneurs. We have now a community composed by 1,300 more or less members, and in our innovation park we have more than 100 companies and startups. So we host a very huge number of innovation stakeholders in our ecosystem. One of the key pillars of our activities, and that's obviously one of the reasons why I'm very happy to be here today, is also related to international network, because we work every day to expand our network and to have connection with international stakeholders. We are also part of the Deep Tech Alliance that I will explain you more later in my presentation. And we have partnership and connection with several incubators and innovation stakeholders all around the world. So we are very proud of our ecosystem and always looking forward to expanding it. As I mentioned before, our innovation park is also very important for us because we have almost 8,000 square meters where we host our companies and startups, and where you can find around 700 workstations and more than 80 offices, event spaces, and meeting rooms, so all the stuff that we need to work at our innovation park. And this is the physical playground where people coming from companies and startups can connect, because actually our work is related to the playground that emerged from the connection between startups and companies. So our role is working in this playground, trying to connect, as I told you before, starting from the innovation needs from the corporate to connect corporates and startups, helping them like speaking the same language, which is not always easy, and trying to exploit new opportunities of growth and create value together. So we work from one side with corporate and from the other side with startups. What we do with startups depends on the commitment that they have in the programs that they can develop with us. So the lowest, let's say, committed activities is taking part in our membership program or just having an office in our tech park. So this means that they take part in our events and just see and exploit network opportunities. Going up in this ladder, they can more committed activities is related to incubation, taking part in incubation program, which means that they can have access to services to accelerate the development of their business ideas. Then they can also take part in acceleration programs, which means that we develop for them tailor-made programs to accelerate their growth. And we can also help them accessing to funds and having a relationship with venture capital. From the other side, with the same logic, we work with the corporates, so also corporates can have access to our membership program or have an office in our tech park so that they can just see what's happening in the ecosystem and just meet all the people that are participating in our programs. Or they can also be involved as a sponsor of our program, so they can have then access to all the deal flow that is generated in the program. If they are more committed in their open innovation strategy, they can also be sponsor of our activities, and this means that they not only see the deal flow coming out from our programs, but they can also start working with the startups. So they evaluate the development of POC, or they can also give grant to the startup. So yes, I will be faster. Okay, so then we can also develop tailor-made projects for the companies in our ecosystem. These are some of the companies we work with, just some example. And as I mentioned before, the easiest way to be part of our ecosystem is entering the membership program, so being part of the membership program, which means that everyone can participate to our events, activities, and receive our newsletters, so being active in our community. I wanted also to share with you, and I will try to be fast, some of the flagship programs, the most important programs that we have. First of all, we have Switch to Product, which is our most important program. We reached the 13th edition this year, and this is the most important tech transfer program at Politecnico University. That is open only to people coming from Politecnico University, so students, former students, professors, researchers, and also since a couple of years to Bocconi University. This is so geographically, let's say, close to these kind of students, but is focused on several topics. So we, through this program, we look for we want to find innovation in different kind of sectors. So from life sciences to green economy and industry. And I'm not going in deep in all the phases, just want to share with you how engaged it could be a program like this. We start, it's developed on it's a one-year program. We start with 90 startups, or let's say with 90 teams, and we end with 20 startups at the demo day after 1 year that we present to corporates and investors. Incubator then is actually the brand new program that we launched this week. So differently, the workflow is similar to Switch to Product, but the difference is that we are not only targeted to Politecnico University ideas, but to everyone in the world as an idea that as an application in sustainability or climate tech. So In this case, we are geographically open. That's actually the first time for Polytechnico University that is targeted to also innovation outside Polytechnico. So I'm actually very happy that we did this step forward. But we have this specifically focused on climate tech. So maybe someone of you in this room knows someone that has an idea that could be suitable for the program. A very interesting program in which we are involved is also the Deep Tech Alliance, which is an international network of incubators focused on deep tech. Yes, I'm going to the end. And we develop specific incubator and acceleration programs on different topics such as clean tech and Industry 4.0. Last topic that I wanted to share with you, and maybe it could be like a topic of discussion, is what we see as the challenges for PolyHub. As I already mentioned, obviously one of the topics on which we are focused is expanding deal flow and international networks. So we are trying to go outside of the buildings that it's common, say, in the startup world and connect with the rest of the world. We also try to focus to work with innovation that can solve the biggest problems in the world. And last but not least, a challenge that we see is the new paradigm of open innovation. So help companies and startups passing through a new concept of open innovation where companies are really open to share their experience and their facilities, and they can, let's say, develop a win-win cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Vera. Yes, for sure, PolyHub is a model that everybody would like to get installed in the country. Now we'll continue with Kocaeli University Technopark. For the information or general information, Kocaeli is a province in Turkey, the #1 industrial province, the leading export area on the country level. And I wouldn't go deep to the figures because Professor Melika is here.
Thank you. Thank you for everything and for this good organization also, especially for Meti. I want to introduce myself. Firstly, I am assistant professor in Kocaeli University. I start my professional life in automotive sector as quality engineer. But after that, I become a production manager, then turn back to university as TTO manager. Now I'm on board direct in TTO, and also work for COSME program as a manager in Kocaeli Technopark. I want to show you some data from Kocaeli, and the pictures are real pictures awarded from our municipality. You can see my city also. Kocaeli, as Meti mentioned before, is the center of the industry. Sometimes we said the heart of the industry in Turkey. In recent years, it has been advantaging rapidly become the epicenter of the R&D and innovation, because we have lots of technoparks and R&D centers in Kocaeli also. Kocaeli's epicenter of the industry in Turkey, I'm sorry. Also, we have lots of advantages about logistics, because we are in the center of the Eurasia roads and 30 minutes away from the airports in Istanbul, and also the other one is only 1 hour away from us. And also we have 35 port facilities in Kocaeli also. There are 14 organized industrial zones, 5 technoparks, and 2 free zones also. So our firms have a lot of advantages when they want to export their goods. And also the biggest, the largest research centers, TÜBİTAK-MAM and TCA, it means Turkish Standard Institute, is located in Kocaeli also we have 3 universities. I want to underline this, only just in Kocaeli University we have approximately 80,000 students. It's like a city, it's like a big city, and also lots of researchers in our university. It is the crowded university in Turkey, it is the biggest one. So if you want to reach high quality engineers, you can reach because of these 3 universities. And talk about with numbers about Kocaeli, and this is the real-time picture also. In Kocaeli, there are lots of value-added sectors like automotive, machinery, iron, steel, chemistry, plastic, rubber, metal, and go on. The whole export of Turkey, approximately 20% of export comes from Kocaeli, but when you look just to Europe, it is come 41% of export to Europe comes from Kocaeli also. We have lots of firms from German, Dutch, American, French, South Korean, Italian firms. For example, Ford, Hyundai, Anadolu Isuzu, Siemens, Pirelli, Prometheon, Goodyear, Bursa, Bridgestone, Bosch, and more than these firms also located in Kocaeli. And I want to show you my technopark also. This is our recent building, but we have new one. We have 12,000 square meter closed area and established in 2004 in Kocaeli, and make some R&D activities. We have some partners. The biggest partners is Kocaeli University and Chamber of Trade, Chamber of Industry, and another Chamber of Trade, also Gebze Chamber of Trade, and then also another technopark located in our industry zone. In Turkey, the technopark aims increase wealth of society by supporting innovation and competitiveness culture. While achieve these purposes, we try to manage flow of information from. I'm sorry, I forget changing my slides also. These are our partners, and also we try to encourage our firms by improving their flow of information technology between universities, R&Ds, and industry also. In Turkey, we have special regulations supported by our governments. So if you have a firm in this technopark zone, you don't have to pay you don't have to pay personal income taxes. A lot of tax exceptions from taxes also. We have some regulations also for the same R&D centers till it will continue to 2023 also. I think this is the one in the world having different regulations supporting from our government. We have 72 firms in our area, and also 25 of them belongs to our academicians, and 14 spin-off companies, 9 incubation companies, and 12 teams in startup program. Mostly they are students. When we look at the sectoral distribution of Co-Technopark, the first one is also ICT. Is 65% of them is related to ICT, and second one is electronic also. And the other one goes on like energy and automotive, because we have lots of sector in also our zone. And we have 91 intellectual properties, 700 completed R&D projects also, and new applications from firms yearly, approximately 50 new projects every year. This means 50 new firm wants to join our system also. We have a big program with Kocaeli Metropolitan Municipality. It's smart cities. It's like digitalization the city. We have lots of hackathons, workshops to bring our city more digital and more smart and more happy. And we have some other good projects supported by East Marmara Development Agency. And also we are part of a COSME program. And I'm the manager of this program for my company. As you know, we try to support SMEs to connect Europe also. We have some advantages, physical advantages. We have offices, incubator and pre-incubation centers, prototype and test center. You can scan 3D and print 3D also if you produce a good or understand a good. We have data center, green box studio to prepare your advertisement or this kind of things if you want to show your business on YouTube or different area. And we have sport halls, hobby halls also, and cafe and dining hall. I want to show you some photo from there. This is our incubation center. We use open office system to connect our firm and share their knowledge with each other. This is our incubation center. This is our new building. It will be open in a month, I think. And this is the first part. It will be continued. We have lots of educational activities. We try to teach our firms EU funding programs. We have some investor and industry collaborations to bring up our scale-ups to industry, and pre-incubation program. They were just idea stage, and we have a newspaper to inform our firms. As I said before, we have lots of webinars, B2B match event making and online trainings on these years also. It's coming. Lots of program plans, and informing Technopark some funding programs or different challenges on their sectors also. And I think I saw my time is going on. And we have demo days also. We have mentoring programs for our incubators because we have a special program. Its name's Carbon Incubation Programs for our students and for our newcomers. And I said before, we have a newspaper for R&D projects and inform our firms in this kind of activities. Thank you for listening me.
Thanks a lot, Professor Melika. For everybody's information, we have started cooperating with Kocaeli, Abigem, Chamber, and University from 2011. So for 11 years, we are partnering with Kocaeli in yearly activities, especially on B2B events. Now, it's our pleasure to invite Mr. Mog from Sofia Tech Park. Sofia Tech Park is a new model of developed scientific and tech model of tech park, adventure taken by ministry, by municipality, university, and EU support. Mark.
Thank you. Thank you all, and it's a pleasure for me to be here to share more experience and to seek more experience so we can all develop a sustainable environment and sustainable economies. You asked us a few questions regarding this roundtable, and I was elaborating on the questions you asked about. One of the questions was, what is the strategic solution that made it work? And I will share you about how it all started in Bulgaria. Is it working? Yeah. So you can see on this slide that actually we have advantages in institutional ecosystem environment. So we position ourselves in a very good situation between businesses, government, non-profit organizations, startup ecosystem, etc. And also we have environmental advantages in our on our territory, on our campus. So we aim to be flexible, sustainable, and predictable partner. I'm not going to go through all these key advantages, which are part, of course, also from the campus, nor I will give you more details about what are our focus areas, because our focus areas are based on our economic capacity, our scientific capacity, and what we can do as an economy and as a country. So these are pretty specific areas that we develop on. So I'm not going to share about our focus areas as well, nor about our campus in details. Of course, we have high capacity 11 laboratories, also related to our focus areas. But this is not something that I want to share about, nor even the supercomputer that we've built only for a year last year, and it was qualified number 91st in the world in the computer capacity, and with all these characteristics, we really are a significant part of the supercomputing network in Europe. But it's not all that. Why? Because in the center of all this, as a strategic solution, we discovered that the main thing, the main reason for all these successes are the people. And I'm not talking empty here about people, but really the people are starters, and it all depends on people. So sharing our experience and also what were our difficulties and challenges, it all relates to people. Because people can create value with the environment. People can innovate. People, for me, innovation is art. So people need to have the resources and the capacity to innovate, to be productive, and the right people on the right places. And the second thing, very important, also related to people, is the clear understanding by the country, by the government, that innovation, entrepreneurial capacity, science, and technologies are top priority. If this collaboration between government and science and tech parks, centers of innovation, is not solid, it's not close, the connection is not close, then you have a bunch of people wanting to do something, and you have other bunch of people who doesn't understand what the first group of people is doing. So we need that really solid bond between government, policies and strategies for economy, and science and tech parks and centers of innovation. And I would suggest here, and based on our experience, is that governmental institutions should headhunt the right people. Why? Because this is the source of everything that I'm talking about. This supercomputer wouldn't be working without people. All that I'm going to share in the next slides wouldn't be possible without the people. And in Bulgaria, we have a situation where actually our entrepreneurial ecosystem started developing before even the idea of technology parks. And the majority of people in Bulgaria didn't understand what is a tech park. They thought that it's a business park where you can rent an office and you can be part of the business community. So in this situation where we had a startup ecosystem and entrepreneurial ecosystem prior the tech park, our challenge was to communicate actively what is a tech park and what kind of what part of the whole ecosystem the tech park should play. And there was some sort of negativity in the ecosystem towards the project of the tech park. Why? Because they were saying that it's another political project to take some money and to waste it. And we had to overcome this. We had to find a solution to this challenge because the tech park should be a vital part of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. This is where things can happen. And what was strategic in our development was that we attracted the people from the ecosystem. We headhunted people from the ecosystem. Why? Because these people are the best communicators on the position and the value of such campus, such environment. And this is how it happened actually. And all the things that I'm going to share with you are result, our product, our innovation from this team. As I mentioned, this is not something universal, but when you get the right people in the right place, then they can create something that is customary to your location, to your region. They are the people that can create value, not only copy and paste some idea from anywhere, because this is not giving any value. And moreover, it's not perspective. It doesn't give you perspective. So, the next things I'm going to show you is actually the result of a hard work of the right people. So we have a innovation center, which is actually has turned into the top place for all kinds of events, hackathons, forums, technology conferences, all sorts of events that are part of the innovation, entrepreneurial, and scientific ecosystem. But this is not the thing. The thing is that this team, only the last 2 weeks or even 1 week, has managed to organize more than 10 events in a week. From a Hello Space conference, which is about space and the connection with the space station in orbit, corporate events that are also investing in innovation. Robotic Strategy Forum, we just came in from our Robotic Strategy Forum, which was 2 days, on Monday and Tuesday. We have business breakfast, we have accelerators, and all other events that are part of our agenda. And I want to mention something else. The right people attract the right partners, which is also very important. Because we cannot do everything, and we cannot do all. But right partners can add value to our agenda. So another strategic point that we did is that we attracted the right partners that can build upon what we can offer. That means that these events, most of these events are not even ours, but we support them actively because they are part of the whole strategy. This team is also developing environment for the next generation. Why? Because next generation is also very important, because everything we do should be more than us ourselves, should be going beyond our lifespan. Of course, we have also international approach, because we know that the value is not local, it's international. And I always tend to say that as a Balkan countries with similar culture, we should always think about ourselves like one community, because we say that unity is power, and this will bring benefit to each country alone. So I'm not saying something that will bring benefit to Bulgaria. I'm saying something that it will bring benefit to the whole region. It's very important in this globalization and challenges on the markets, economies, labor, education. We need to create environment that is healthy for our children, not only as an environment, but also as a community that our children thrive. And also this team that I'm talking about has attracted one of the most successful companies in Bulgaria, not only in Bulgaria, accelerator programs, international partners that are also part of this ecosystem. We pay attention to startups that have high potential and that can learn from our community and also to bring back to the community. The few companies that here have some profiling, but I'm not going to focus on that. Of course, we have also our program that we actually accept startups with our benefits and our state aid for young entrepreneurs, which is always open. And we also have our advantages. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We have also our advantages.
Okay.
And also this team is encouraged to innovate. Why? Because innovation within the team of Sofia Tech Park is also very important. If we don't have creators among our team, then we're just a team of people that is watching what happens around them, but not with them. And our innovative project was entered the top 10 among all technology parks in the International Association of Technology Parks contest in 2020. And we are sort of proud of this because we did it the right way, and we got international recognition for this.
Okay.
And let me just finish with this. So all these things are created from the same team. We have clubs of interest that we get another sort of partnerships with the ecosystem, improving and creating experts from enthusiasts. So we communicate science, innovation, and technology to all generations. We have created our own co-working space. And we are now building our Digital Innovators Program, which is a sort of incubation program that will focus on innovation and research and development project, not only in Bulgaria, but in the whole of the region. So this is just part of the process. And there are two people directly engaged with this project, and one of them is me. So this is in the process, and everybody can join on the website cip.eu very soon, not now. So people can join, young entrepreneurs can join, wannabe entrepreneurs can join, and we can help them grow and help them find their innovative projects and develop their innovative project. So thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Talking about people and finishing about people, and our vision for the next years is, this is what I started with, is to build constantly growing, sustainable entrepreneurial ecosystem for innovators and researchers.
Thanks a lot, Mark. We had the pleasure as Kosovo delegation and IST Kosovo's growth project to visit Sofia Tech Park 3 months ago and go around, and happy to be there. Amazing campus, and you should be proud of it, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Now we'll have another perspective of a totally different model, Area Science Park from Venice, and Mr. Stefan Taylor will show us the picture of Area Science Park, which is a model mixing industry, science, and innovation.
Thank you, Mehdi, for the opportunity to be here and address this audience today, and for the excellent organization of the summit. I'm going to try and be very brief because I know that time is short, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what makes Aria Science Park work today, a little bit about its history and what our vision is of the future. Aria Science Park is wholly publicly owned, so we are owned and operated by the Ministry of Universities and Research in Italy, and we collaborate with other ministries at the regional and national level as well. So we're in Friuli Venezia Giulia, which is an autonomous region, which means it has tax-raising powers and can act independently of national government, but we're also a national research body under the Ministry for Universities and Research, which means we're publicly funded and entirely publicly owned. That means that we operate in a particular way, and there are different science park models around the world, some private, some public, some mixed. All of them can work, but the nature of a science park has a significant impact on the way that it operates and what it can do. In my experience, and I've spent some time working in Silicon Valley, so when Mr. Mandel today talked about creating a Silicon Valley type approach in the Western Balkans, I think there are some interesting parallels that can be drawn. But as Mark said, the first thing you have to think about is people. How are you going to attract the talent that will make a science park give the contribution that it can give? And it's a two-way street. People go where it's interesting for them to be. They go where there are opportunities. But if you think about what you do when you buy a house, when you choose where to live, any estate agent will tell you the three most important things about a house are location, location, location. So where you put a science park is fundamental. And if you look at Silicon Valley, the first thing that you notice is it's a really cool place to live. It's a really nice climate. There are lots of nice places to go, nice places to eat. The atmosphere in Silicon Valley is an atmosphere of collaboration in every institution and in every locality around those institutions. The very first science park in the world was created in Stanford in the 1940s. The first in Europe was decades later. Aria Science Park was founded in 1978 and was one of the first in Europe. I think it was about number 3 in Europe. And that means we've had over 40 years to make lots and lots of mistakes and learn from them, and hopefully pass them on to other people so that they can learn from our mistakes and not have to repeat all of them. We've thrown out some of our methodologies and models along the way because they didn't work. We've tried to copy things from places like Silicon Valley. I was actually recruited in part because of my experience in that part of the world. And the first thing I said to my colleagues in our incubator was that far too many of the companies that were incubated stayed alive. I was used to an environment where 95% of startup companies fail, and the 5% that don't fail have stratospheric growth rates. And what I found when I arrived in Italy was a situation where the vast majority of the startups that were created survived. Fortunately, my colleagues who were much more intelligent than me pointed out that the Silicon Valley system couldn't operate in a country like Italy because it would create 95% of the entrepreneurs would become bankrupts, and it would create a situation where they wouldn't be able to work again for 7 years. They wouldn't be able to start another company. We would have eliminated them from the ecosystem. So you can't just adopt a model from somewhere else without adapting it to your context. You need to look at the legal framework and how you can operate. So what we do in our incubator is exactly the same as what happens in Silicon Valley, but the timing at which you found the company is very different. So our incubator has a similar funnel from idea to successful startup, but we only found the company after we filtered out more than 90% of the ideas. So the few that get to the foundation stage have already been through that process, and the foundation of the company means that the company already has a very high chance of success and growth. On the other side of that coin, we had a situation when I arrived in the Science Park where we had a large number of small companies that were ticking over. We had over 80 companies when I arrived in Aria Science Park. We now have under 60 companies in the Science Park. We have 8 public sector research institutions and under 60 private companies. But the interesting thing is that when I arrived, we had 2,200 people working in the Science Park. We now have 2,600 people working in the Science Park. What we did was cut out some of the dead wood. We eliminated some of the small companies that had been kept alive by public subsidy, that had been ticking over from project to project with public money helping them to stay alive, but not to thrive and not to succeed. We now have companies that are thriving, succeeding, and growing, and some of them grow so much and so quickly that they leave, because a science park isn't necessarily the right place for their production activities. It's a good place to do research, it's a good place to do innovation, but when you get too big for that location, you need to be somewhere else. And we host startups, we host established companies, but we also host small research laboratories of large companies that have their main facilities elsewhere. And that model is working well for us. It gives us the opportunity to host innovative researchers in a variety of areas. One of the things we've learned over the years, we're a multi-sector science park, and we've learned that being too multi-sector can be a disadvantage. So we started out letting just about anyone with an innovative idea come and set up in the science park. We've now focused on a few primary areas where we have strength in expertise, research facilities, research infrastructure that can be attractive to help bring in the young talent that makes a science park work. The strongest asset that we have are the organizations that we host, because if they're successful, it makes it a successful environment, it makes it a useful place for a company to come and set up. So it's very important that we maintain the high quality threshold, and so we don't let people come and rent space in our science park, as was pointed out earlier. Some science parks gained a reputation for being just an industrial park where tech companies rented space. Our model is based very much around the idea that you have to be doing research, you have to be innovating, otherwise you have to leave. Because we want innovative companies and organizations in the science park, because that generates the buzz, the ecosystem that makes the whole thing work. Over the last few years, we've focused our attention to make sure that we are giving our attention to 4 primary areas of activity. The first and most obvious is running the science park as effectively and as efficiently as possible. The second is generating new businesses through our incubation activities. The third is helping innovation projects to be born in existing companies within the park and around the region. And the fourth is developing platforms, technology and research platforms that can be open both to researchers and to industry. And that opening up to industry through an open lab model has made an important change in the way that industry has been able to collaborate with the science park. We've now taken those 4 lines of activity and moved them outside of the confines of our 2 campuses to make sure that we interact even more with industry. The International Association of Science Parks was just mentioned. I joined the International Association of Science Parks in Aria Science Park about 14 years ago, and subsequently they changed their name. And their full name is now the International Association of Science Parks and Areas of Innovation, because they recognize that the location-based model of science parks that started in the 40s and grew out of the need to co-locate organizations to make them collaborate isn't now sufficient to address the needs of open innovation in the broader community. Science parks need to engage with industry outside of the confines of their campuses. And to do that, you need to develop areas of innovation that can be much broader, that can be whole city-wide areas, but they can interact with science parks that have necessary physical laboratories located in a buzzing, innovative place. We do that with laboratories related to things like gene sequencing, data analysis, where we need infrastructure to make them work. The biggest infrastructure facility we have is the synchrotron light facility and the free electron laser Fermi, which are unique world-class research infrastructures. And they're a huge magnet to bring fresh talent, research talent, and businesses that want access to those laboratories into the science park and into the surrounding area. But a science park can be and should be not just an isolated location within itself, but a way to attract business and research into an area that is broader than just the science park confines itself. We've seen that work very successfully in a number of science parks around the world, and we've tried to take our 4 lines of activity and turn our experience in locating innovative companies in the campuses into experience in bringing innovative companies into the wider geographical area, working right across the region of Friuli-Venezia Giulia. Our experience in helping generate new companies with our own incubator has been turned into a network of registered incubators around the territory, where we help to standardize methodologies, make those incubators bring in the right ideas, the right companies, but make each incubator an access point through which startups can access a range of services provided to all of the incubators with a central approach, a central methodology. We've turned the innovation projects that we used to do with small companies to try and help them to get a foothold on the innovation ladder into a special focus through our Digital Innovation Hub, which is distributed across the territory with 4 nodes. Each node has a specialization, from data simulation to Internet of Things to storage of data, to try and make sure that companies can access, again, specific expertise, specific technology infrastructure, and specific services through any one of 4 nodes distributed across the territory, and always get a level of excellence in the services that are offered to them. The 4th pillar, opening our laboratories within the science park itself, has become an even broader initiative to have open labs distributed across the territory, working with partners regionally, nationally, and internationally. And that has led to enhancing the collaborations which we have internationally with our nearest neighbours. So we have neighbours like Slovenia, who are very active in the innovation space and with whom we collaborate a lot. Also with Austria and with Croatia, another near neighbour. And the most recent example of collaboration, which brings me to my closing remarks, is the Hydrogen Valley project, which we've just submitted 2 days ago. I was working on it between flights on my way here on the final submission. And that's an application for a 25 million euro grant to help leverage another 100 million of public and private sector investment to drive the hydrogen economy evolution across the 3 territories of Croatia, Slovenia, and Friuli-Venezia Giulia. And that's an example of how a science park can help to stimulate that kind of initiative, that kind of evolution, where we're on a blank page in terms of a whole new sector, a whole new economy. The hydrogen economy has not yet evolved. So unlike some of the errors that the European Union has made in the past, where to try and build sustainability, we gave grants to European organizations to buy equipment manufactured outside of Europe because there were no manufacturers of photovoltaic panels in Europe at that time. What we now need to do is build the whole value chain. Science parks, research institutions, and businesses, as well as government institutions, can play their part in making sure that we build all of the necessary skills to make that whole value chain work. So I said estate agents talk about location, location, location. When Tony Blair was elected, he talked about the 3 priorities of his government as being education, education, education. That's as valid today as it was then. We need education to build the skills and competences to make the value chains work, but that education needs to evolve and change all of the time. Science parks can be a helpful interlocutor with the education system to make sure they're constantly developing new courses, new curricula to give the skills and competences that we need going forward, not just the degrees that we had 50 or 100 years ago. My own 3 words for the vision going forward are sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. And luckily, sustainability has 3 different types that we can add to those 3 repetitions of the word. We need economic sustainability, we need environmental sustainability, and we need social sustainability. Only then will we attract the talent that we need to make not just science parks work, but the whole ecosystem around them and the whole economy within nation states, macro regions, and right across Europe. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the summit, everybody.
Thanks a lot, Stefan. Thanks a lot. We would kindly ask you for waiting for us for some 20 minutes more. Now, we saw and we heard about the Italian models of tech parks, and of course, Turkish Kocaeli, 19 different models. Most of them we have visited, including Italy as well, Area Science Park in Polyhub. I have been with our delegation to Ljubljana Technopark, to Sežana, to Celje, Maribor, but not yet to Primorski Technology Park. Tanya, welcome.
Thank you, Meti. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to hear all these stories from different environments. I think that we all have the same mission: help rise startups and help them become scalable. So I would like to share with you the story of Primorski Technology Park. I'm coming from Slovenia, from the west part of Slovenia, from small city of Nova Gorica. Slovenia has only 2.2 million inhabitants. Nova Gorica is ranked 13 according to the inhabitants, only 13,000 inhabitants. But nevertheless, we managed to build in 10 years one of 3 most powerful startup ecosystems in Slovenia, and I'm very happy for that. So the technology park was established in year 2000. We have 6 owners, 3 of them are municipalities, 2 are private companies, and the one is the University of Nova Gorica. Within these years, we incubated more than 250 startups. We have a very strict selection, and we only accept 12 to 15 startups each year. So the incubation process lasts up to 5 years, but it can be extended for additional 5 years for scale-up companies. We measure 5 years average survival rate, which is very high. It's 80% comparing to Slovenian average that is 50%. In last 5 years, we as a technology park invested more than 3 million euros in startup ecosystem development. At the moment, we have in incubation 45 startups and 7 scale-ups that are from 2 to 8 years old. The scale-ups are growing very fast, on average with a 30% yearly growth rate. They employ something more than 8 employees on average, and they have very high added value per employee. Within last 2 years, they raised more than 1.5 million euros of seed and venture capital. We are located, as I said before, on the border with Slovenia and Italy. We are very close to European capitals, nearby 4 international airports, so easily reach everywhere. So this is our building. The building that 10 years ago almost led us to failure. I will tell you a story. We were focusing 10 years in building business. And in 2012, the previous management left Technology Park because we were deep down. That was because, according to our experience, a technology park or incubator should not base on a real estate business. That led the technology park almost to failure. We were given as a team of employees 1 year from our owners to make something that would lead technology park to success. And at that time, searching for good experiences in international environment, we decided to go for building a startup community. And today I think it was the right decision, because the communities are critical for startup ecosystem development. The community gives the opportunity to network people, to connect them, to exchange experience, knowledge, to make them the opportunity to work together, to make common projects, and maybe to share also the common lifestyle. So I will try to concentrate in 4 points how we started to build this community. This is the long-term process, of course. We started with few events for months. Now we are multiplying these events, and we are organizing few events per week. And the events was to bring people together, to bring mentors, startups, investors, and other relevant people together. The event was kind of business meetup, startup cafe, workshops, any kind of networking events. The second point was to have a community builder. And this is my colleague Mitya, who is doing very well. Actually, he's excellent in doing his job, connecting people, following all the activities and the project of the community, and his role is also to introduce new people, new members to the community. The third point is to share knowledge and to offer mentorship, because we think that offer to startups top-notch knowledge and valuable mentors is the most important thing, because startups are going through the very hard startup path, and their motivation is like sometimes high and sometimes deep down. So they need somebody to inspire them, to help them to overcome all the challenges. And the last thing that we think is important, to share successful stories that could inspire other entrepreneurs and to empower the entrepreneurs, the startups within the community. So what we are doing all the time is also to inspire startups to dream big dreams. And also for us as a technology park, it's important to bring big dreams too. So we couldn't imagine 10 years ago that we will become one of 3 most powerful startup ecosystems in Slovenia, and we are still fast growing. Actually, we are the fastest growing ecosystem in Slovenia. So our dreams are big, maybe so big to see us as a startup center for Ballkan region. That's why we are inviting also other startup ecosystem in the region to connect with us, to share the experience, because I think we can become really strong. So thank you very much for your time. I will share with you a nice quote of Walt Disney for closing. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanya. Thanks a lot. So, very happy to have you and your dream, which comes true, finally, and a good model for all of us to follow. Now, Kosovo, our small country, but a new identity, a new image of very enthusiastic people and young people towards education, towards skills, towards innovation, towards internationalization, and we are doing our best to bring a workable and functionable business model towards economic zones, tech parks, business parks, innovation parks, incubators, and so on. In this occasion, it's our pleasure now to present Innovation Park in Prizren, Training Park in Prizren, and our friend Mohamed Rejepi will lead us.
Thank you, Mete. I'm the last one, so I will try to be really, really short. Maybe I can have the pointer first. Not sure whether something is being showed. Okay. Okay, so I will start without the screen and then we pick it up. My name is Mohammed. I represent the Innovation and Training Park today. Innovation and Training Park is located in Prizren, the second largest region here in Kosovo. The park itself has a size of 40 hectares, 52 buildings, and used to be a military area for the last 20 years. Where it accommodated the German army as part of NATO forces in Kosovo. So they left a few years ago. We picked it up. We took over to manage and develop the park. When I say we, I mean GIZ is the German Agency for International Cooperation, which has been mandated to manage and develop the park for a certain period of time. Because we have this very large space, and as our colleagues before said, the idea is not just to, let's say, offer office space to businesses, but the idea is to have businesses become part of this community. And we are trying, we are relatively new. We started in mid-2020. Currently, we have around 20 businesses and institutions that are located within the park, and the whole idea of the park is organized towards this quadruple helix framework for innovation development, meaning we would like to have partners from, let's say, 4 pillars that compose this helix, and those are the private sector, public sector, academia, and the civil society. By having these actors together, we think that let's say, there would be a chance for the actors from these certain pillars to coexist, but more importantly, to co-develop. And we have, from the, let's say, list of 20 businesses that are located within the park, we have examples from each of the sectors. For example, from the academia, we have the University for Business and Technology and University of Prizren, which is a public university. University for Business and Technology is one of the leading universities for the computer science programs in Kosovo. So now the screen is back, but I'm far ahead. This is one picture of the park. It's quite green, with an excellent infrastructure that has been invested by the German military for the past 20 years. Now I will skip some slides. So I was here for this, let's say, coexisting of these businesses from the pillars to, let's say, have the, with a goal to contribute in the overall innovation and entrepreneurship development. And we have some priority areas, priority sectors. The first one is the ICT, mainly because of the potential of the sector in Kosovo. It's one of the fast-growing sectors in Kosovo, but also we have the population. Like majority of population in Kosovo is youth with very good skills in the ICT sector. The second one is agriculture and food processing, but here we're only looking at, let's say, more towards the smart agriculture and ag tech rather than the traditional one, because of course, we're not an industrial zone, we're not an economic zone, so we're, let's say, looking more towards this soft side of the sector in general. The third one is creative and cultural industries, where we also have some partners from the industries. For example, we have the public broadcaster, Radio and Television of Kosovo. We have DocuFest is on the way to coming there. DocuFest is one of the biggest film festivals in the region, but maybe in Europe. And we have Autostrada Biennale, who is doing a really good job in the contemporary art, but also in the non-formal training and education. The one very important cross-cutting topic for the overall idea of the park is R&D, research and development. Through partnering with universities and R&D institutions to have something there, part of what you're doing in your area, but also to encourage a better communication between the R&D institutions, university, and the private sector. And the other cross-cutting topic that is very important for us is the training, vocational education and training, to make sure that we, let's say, supply enough qualified workforce to the demand of the private sector. So why one should come to our park? I already said that it has a great infrastructure, it's quite green, and we're now, let's say, we've started, if you were to ask what would be the added value to go there, we just started and are in the process of starting some services. One of them is access to the pool of talents, especially for the ICT sector, so the potential businesses can have this access to this pool of talents to, let's say, make sure they have enough workforce for their business. Networking meetings, a lot of those, continuous business breakfasts were mentioned, those are already coming. Event management, we had a very busy summer where we had a lot of events, especially with the IT and tech sector, where this would also relate to the vision of the park, where we want to have as many people as possible to network and contribute to the overall ecosystem development. Some of the services that we've started and are in process, I will talk a little bit more about digital transformation later, but we have co-working spaces. Now we're in the phase of growing them because we started small, it's full, we're expanding. Office spaces, of course, business development services to the businesses that are already located in the park through different projects. Startup support services, we're very soon will start a very thorough program, one-year program called Idea to Scale that will nurture startups from, let's say, from the region, and this would lead then to the other services that we are about to introduce. Those would be incubation services, acceleration services, and the access to finance. Other than that, because of the composition of the park, there is a lot of, let's say, space for recreational activities and sports activities that would be at the disposal of the tenants that are there. Among the assets is the very good infrastructure for event management, very nice conference rooms, very, let's say, on top of this, accommodation services that normally you don't find in other parks. We have the accommodation buildings that were invested by the army that now are being used by the tenants, but also those who are organizing events to, let's say, offer the service to the participants. Some of the tenants that are part of those pillars that I said that are contributing to the overall ecosystem development in the park, I will mention only a few, is Kosovo Research and Education Network, that offers digital solution to higher education institutions, but also access to 3D printers and scanners to the private sector and students and startups for piloting services. We have two universities I already mentioned, University for Business and Technology, University of Prizren, businesses from private sector in the IT sector, but also in the creative industry sector. Makerspace Innovation Center, which is, let's say, offering a lot of the soft component of the part of the training and education in the ICT sector, as well as co-working spaces and incubation services. So the range of the tenants that are located there mainly come from the IT sector, a lot more from the education sector and the creative industry sector. One of the core services that we're offering is the Digital Transformation Center, a project that is also financed by the German government and co-financed by the European Union. And this center has three main components, which is science and education, working heavily with universities and educational institutions to, let's say, support more the idea for pushing the applied research. The second component is technology for business, supporting non-ICT businesses digitalize through different means. And the third one is digital entrepreneurship, where we provide support mainly to tech startups. One of the main, let's say, components of this center is the Digital Innovation Hub, which is in the process of being registered. But I will not say more, because you will have the chance at 3 o'clock to hear more about the Digital Innovation Hub, which is moderated by one of my colleagues, I think upstairs. So I hope I kept it brief. I will be happy to exchange individually with everybody, and of course welcome you for a visit to the park. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Mohamed, for the overview. I hope now we have got a clear picture of diversity of the development and business model solution that we should keep pretending to still developing and advancing them. Since now we are almost on the time of B2B matchmaking, I hope everybody can continue contacting you and meeting you and sharing experiences and presentations. Once again, on behalf of Pristina Digital Summit, thanks a lot. We really appreciate and hope to have a fruitful day altogether. Thanks a lot once again, and enjoy the B2B as per the agenda. Thanks a lot.